Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you very much, Richard, for that introduction. And I'm glad that my good friend Yusik designate Edwin Bile is also with us. He can say a lot of things about what our office has been doing in the past several years. We started in 2016, and it's now 2021, and we are still continuing that responsibilities entrusted to us by the office of the president. Although we are only an advisory office, but we have in effect revolved into an action office anyway, because many of the requests addressed to the president for assistance by OFWs worldwide were all endorsed to us by the office of the president. There were also direct referrals sent to us, and there were also personal contacts of OFWs and other Filipino who are involved in situations on foreign countries. And our office has been assisting all these Filipino families and overseas workers who have been visiting our office for the last 5 years. By the way, Richard, in Malacanang, I would like to say this as one thing that will encourage overseas Filipino workers and other members of their families who want to seek assistance to our office, that our office in Malacanang is open to everyone. One doesn't need any appointment to visit our office. They can come anytime. And we had been assisting our OFWs in other in foreign countries, and also the families who are visiting our office. And for the last 5 years, we had done, as I said, a lot of things, solving the repatriation of Philippine workers in the Gulf states, especially. As I mentioned earlier, we have these problems of the 11,000 stranded Philippine workers in Saudi Arabia. And we were then fortunate that we got all the support of the Saudi government. They were provided accommodations while waiting for their repatriation to the Philippines. And they were given, provided with foods, everything, Wi-Fi in the camps where they were then staying at the time, and in different parts of the kingdom where they were given accommodations. One of those things that helped them also is the waiver of all penalties of all these 11,000 stranded Philippine workers that helped in their repatriation to the country. And there was this very problematic group of Filipino workers in Alcobar in the eastern province. There was then a problem of their repatriation because they did not want to go back to the country. And fortunately, after I was able to talk to them, all these almost 300 Filipino workers stranded at the time decided to go back to the country. Now, we have gone into very critical missions to Libya. There was this incident of kidnapping of 3 Filipino engineers, and that was at the height of the civil war in Tripoli, Libya. And we went there. I was accompanied by the current ambassador of the Philippines to Kuwait, Ambassador Lomondod, and we were stuck in Libya for more than 10 days because there was no airplane going back to Tunisia. But we then decided to stay and made the necessary negotiations with the officials of the Tripoli government. And we were then working with the representatives of the South Korean government, because one of their engineers also was kidnapped at the time. And fortunately, with the assistance of the UE government, these three Filipino engineers were flown back from Libya to the United Arab Emirates and then back to the Philippines. There was also this problem of the seven crewmen of a Greek oil tanker, who were then accused of smuggling in Libya. And it was at the height also of the civil war in Libya when we started negotiating for their release, for their acquittal of the charges against them. And fortunately, the Department of Justice helped in the acquittal of these seven sailors at the time. And there was, you remember about, as I said, about this problem of the diplomatic crisis in Kuwait at the time in 2018. And fortunately, with the participation of our office, that friendly diplomatic and labor relations between the state of Kuwait and the Philippines was restored. So when also when we had this problem of the impending war between Iran and America, we were sent to the different countries in the Middle East, including countries outside the Middle East, and that was Turkey, Turkey and Iran, and we were able to get the assurances of the governments of Iraq, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Kuwait, that in the event of a war between Iran and America at the time, they assured us that they will provide the logistics and the support for the evacuation of our Philippine workers in the respective countries. That was then one very important mission that we had done. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic that happened in the early part of 2020, we were not able to proceed to Lebanon, to Damascus, to Jordan, to Oman, and Saudi Arabia. That was the last leg of our travel, and we were not able then to go to these countries because of the pandemic. Now, during all these years that we had been fighting for one promise of the president, commitment of the president for the creation of the Department for Overseas Filipino Workers. Our office has been very, very active in deliberations in Congress and in attending to meetings of different organizations, overseas Filipino workers organizations, encouraging them to support the passage of this Department for Overseas Filipino Workers. It is now pending in the House of the Senate. It is one of the priority bills submitted by the president, and hopefully, if the House of the Senate will approve this proposed legislation, there is a very good chance that it might be created into law before the end of the year. This is one department that should really be created. We had experience in the past about one activity that had not been attended to because of lack of focus as far as the handling of the relations of our country to other foreign countries. One instance was the meeting that was not held between the United Arab Emirates government and that of the Philippine government on the problems affecting problems affecting domestic workers in the United Arab Emirates. Now, that happened in 2014. In 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. In other words, this problem of lack of labor agreement between the Philippine government and the United Arab Emirates was in limbo for 7 years. And with the participation of our office, after meeting with the Minister of Labor of the United Arab Emirates, the joint committee meeting of the Ministry of Labor in Kuwait, I mean in the United Arab Emirates, that of the Philippines, was organized and held in February of 2021. And in March 2021, the agreement was signed between the United Arab Emirates government and that of the Philippine government. So there is now an expansion of labor migration to the United Arab Emirates because of the agreement that was then signed between the Philippine government and United Arab Emirates. So these are just some of the examples where a department created to focus on the concerns of the overseas Philippine workers in this country is really one thing that should be done, should be achieved in order that all the problems of the overseas Philippine workers worldwide should be attended to with focus and with efficiency and effectiveness because of the, sole responsibility that is given to that department, and that is to attend to the needs of the overseas Philippine workers worldwide. So thank you very much, Richard. I am open for any further question as far as this proposed legislation is concerned. And USIC designate Edwin Bile can see something about the responsibilities of our office and the future of this department that is going to be created by Congress, because USIC designate Bile had been involved actively in committee hearings in Congress and in international forum regarding this particular legislation. Thank you very much.